Hello students, today we're going to be dealing with texture and permeability. Our objectives are to identify the categories of the surface texture and permeability on the land judging scorecard. And then we're going to also be demonstrating the techniques to texturize soil. On your guys' review sheet items that we've been utilizing in class, we will be dealing with this section here with surface texture and this section here with permeability. Inside of this video, we'll have another video, and this video is going to further explain to how to texturize soil. We will not be having all of these items, but we will be starting with about this much soil. You'll get the soil wet. As you get the soil wet, we won't use a spatula, but we will be working the soil into a ball. Step 2, can it form a ball? So you try to make a ball about the size of a golf ball inside your hand. If it can form a ball, then we know we are going to have a certain type of soil. Able to form a ball, we're going to be here. Not able to form a ball, it's going to be breaking apart very easily, and that's called sand. It's going to be a different texture than sand if it forms a ball. Now we're going to move into, does it form a soil ribbon? You're going to place your ball between your index finger and your thumb. You're going to push them up. As you push them up, you're trying to see if there will be a ribbon that will break under its own strength. If you just pinch it with your thumb into your finger, then that's cutting it off. You're trying to develop a ribbon that comes up. You can see this one is making a ribbon. You're trying to push it up. Not able to form a ribbon, we are going to be in that range of our sand. Other ones are going to be over here where we are going to be in a different soil texture where we can make our ribbon. How long the soil ribbon determines what type of texture we actually have. They use terms like loam, clay loam, and clay. We're going to be using a few other terms. We can see over here on the far right, we're getting a very long ribbon with our clay. And that kind of takes us into here. And that's our soil factors. So you're going to be given a bucket, and with this bucket, it's going to be called the surface texture, surface soil. And in the bucket, you're going to be trying to identify if it's a fine, moderately fine, medium, or moderately coarse. To be fine, the ribbon has to be made of over 2.5 inches. Moderately fine is 1.5 to 2.5 inches. Medium is under 1.5 inches without sand. Moderately coarse will be under 1.5 inches with sand. And coarse to very coarse will not really make a ball or ribbon at all. So when we go back to these, you can see it there at this one here. This is making a very large ribbon. Probably here's 1 inch, here's 2 inches. This is at least a 3-inch ribbon, so that's going to be putting us into that fine category. This one over here is breaking more at our 2 inches, so that's going to be our moderately fine. And this one is about 1 inch, so that's going to be our medium. Besides dealing with texturizing of the surface texture, we're also going to be identifying our permeability. Permeability is how well something travels through, and in this case, it's how well it travels through soil, and that it is water. So how well does water travel through? You'll get a second bucket that's called the control bucket, which will actually be dealing with the bucket of subsurface, or the farther down part of our depth of soil. And in that bucket, you'll ribbon just like you did with the surface texture, but if it's over 3 inches and there's no roots in the hole where you can see, not in the bucket, but in the hole, if you see no roots and you're getting a ribbon of over 3 inches, it's what's called a very slow permeability. If you were in that range of 2.5 to 3 inches and there are roots in the bottom of this hole that you identify as deep to very deep, then it's called slow. If you're just under, that shouldn't be under, that should be 1.5 to 2 inches, So ignore the under part. I just put my finger up to the screen and tried to, that was silly of me. But don't use the under. It'll be 1.5 to 2.5 inches. That's moderately slow. If you are under 1.5 inches without sand, it's called moderate. If you are under 1.5 inches with sand, it's called moderately rapid. If there's no real ball or ribbon being formed, it's called rapid. And if there's no real ball or formed, and you have gravel, it's called very rapid. So you should add the word gravel here. We've just tried to identify the categories of surface texture and permeability on the land judging scorecard. Please make sure that you have identified all the different sections and how you put on each of the measurements. We also demonstrated the techniques to texturize the soil. Please go back and make sure that if you need any more information, you pause the video to show you where each one of our categories have their limits. And just for a side note today, we're going to give you some extra bonus stuff, just because we can. On your scorecard, you also have a fertilizer and soil amendments. With these fertilizer and soil amendments, if there is no soil amendments needed at what we find with our soil, then you would check number 31. But if we happen to find one of these 27 through 30 that should be checked, you don't check 31. If you go to potassium and you find out that the potassium is 249 or below, you check the box because there's not enough potassium in your soil. If you find out that your phosphorus levels are 59 or below, you would then check phosphorus. If the nitrogen is called deficient, you would check nitrogen. If the pH is not between 6.4 and 8, or if it is below 6.3 or above 8.1, then you would check pH. So with the soil and fertilizer amendments, here's a little side information, and it's dealing with the soil amendments. You would check if it is 6.3 and below, and you would also check if it's 8.1 and above. Your nitrogen, you check if it's deficient, you check if it's 59 and below for phosphorus, and you check if it's 49 and below if it's potassium. If nothing is there, and you have no check marks between 27 and 30, you then check number 31.